Gabby cracked her fingers with delight and then pulled out her magical rod.
Last chance to give up now. I have 4 seasons on you, newbie.
Aya just scoffed and remembered what Minoru had told her. She took out her own rod.
You fool! You think you're so grand. I'm fighting for something you don't have and probably never will.
What's that?
True love. Burning bright, oh flame. I summon your magic heat. Melt this bitch's face.
Aya extended her hand and a stream of fire burst from her fingertips. It leapt on the air and nearly scorched Gabby, but she finished her spell before it struck.
Shield of ice, save me! Turn any heat into chill, save my pretty face!
The flames collided with a solid block of ice. Steam filled the interior of the bubble. Aya backed away and finished another spell.
Soldier of Earth, rise! Keep my enemies at bay. Crush them with your might.
A second later, a large creature crawled from the ground. It looked to be made of dirt and rock. It groaned as it stood fully erect. The Earth Elemental looked around and squatted down. Even lowering itself, the Earth Elemental still loomed over Aya. She heard whispering, but the exact phrasing didn't catch her ears. A large purple tentacle whipped out of the steam and lifted the elemental into the air. As the steam cleared away, Gabby stood beside a whirling vortex. The tentacle came from the portal. The Earth Elemental pounded at the tentacle, but it disappeared into the vortex as whatever held it retracted its appendage.
Nice touch with the elemental. That could have really hurt me.
Aya calmed herself and spoke another spell.
Here I stand alone, but now I need 12 copies. Give me illusions.
A bright flash occurred and 12 versions of herself appeared all around her. She ran into and through them, and likewise, they ran into and through one another. Gabby mumbled another spell to herself. Aya didn't pay attention. She had already begun weaving another spell. As she spoke, so too did her other copies. Gabby finished her spell and sent a sickening green beam at the wrong Aya. The illusion disappeared in a cloud of smoke, while the other Ayas finished their spell.
Freezing beam fly through. Cover her in sheets of ice. Lock this skank in place.
The remaining 11 copies sent beams of ice Gabby's way, and so did Aya. Gabby looked panicked as she moved her hands in a flurry. Her words came out in a low whisper. Gabby's body rocked back as one of the beams hit her. Her skin became blue and ice covered her like armor. At first, Aya smiled in victory, but then Gabby looked back at her with amusement.
So there you are.
The ice continued to cover her body, but it made a protective casing around her. She ran forward and swung at Aya with an ice fist. Aya ducked under and rolled away. As she righted herself on her feet, Aya spoke another spell. Meanwhile, the other copies ran to where Aya stood.
Solid earth transform. Turn into swallowing mud. Let her sink down deep.
The ground at Gabby's feet became wobbly and gooey. As she took a step, she started to sink into the now liquid dirt. Gabby tried to free herself, but the more she struggled, the more she sank. Once she had her waist completely swallowed, Gabby grinned darkly at Aya. The sudden enjoyment sent a nervous twitch in Aya's spine. Gabby spoke a spell loud enough for Aya to hear.
You stand where I want, and I'm where you don't want. Trade me places now.
A sudden flash blinded Aya's vision. An instant later, she looked up at Gabby from the mud pit. Concern welled up within her and she sank to her shoulders. Her opponent just crossed her arms over her chest and beamed an arrogant smile.